Thanks for that. No audio. I do that every time I forget to turn it on. Can you hear me now? Still no audio. I think you're a few seconds behind me, so try now. Have you got sound now? You should have sound. Yeah. The problem I've got there, I've got the YouTube window open, and next to me I've got my iPad and I've got the OBS Studio software running on that, and they're both connected together. And when you do the intro, you have to turn the microphone off. So anyway, so just to repeat what I've just said, thanks for joining us, folks. As you can see, I'm sat here on my own tonight. Jen's watching the Great British Bake Off. She'll be along shortly just to say hello, but she's not really into moonshining and stuff. So she's going to let me do this one on my own. No dodgy light switches, no dodgy pictures behind us. What I have got behind us is an old projector screen, because behind that I'm actually sat in our old office. And there's shelves and stuff with all the crap on what you don't really want to be looking at. So we're all good. So who we got online then? We've got a few people already. 16 people. We've got Steve's Vids. Hi Steve. Chris Rushing. James Taylor. Marv. Sailing Naughty Pirate. Are you at work tonight, Marv, or you got a night off? James Taylor. Thomas Early. Matt and Paige. I thought Matt would be tuning in to listen to this one. The Nordics. Rod Gunter. Marie Morrissey. Hi Marie. Sean Dowd's here. Dave Watson. Anybody I've missed? Blue Cotton 1. Jean-Marc Pagan Owl from Ottawa in Ontario. Yeah, I know it's a crooked projector screens, James. There's always one. Oh, you got a day off, Marv. That's good. Thought we were getting a pretty PowerPoint a PowerPoint presentation. It's all right for you to say. So I've got a few pictures what I'm going to put up to let you have a look at. So tonight we're going to talk about winemaking, beer making, and spirits making. Three totally different types of things. I'm not an expert by any means in any of them, but I have been doing all of them for a while now, quite a while. In fact, I can remember when I had my first winemaking kit, I wanted my mum and dad to buy me one as a Christmas present, and I was 18 at the time when I lived at home, and they didn't want to do it because they said you'll turn into an alcoholic. But anyway, that's where it all started when I was about 17, 18, and my mum and dad bought me my first winemaking kit, and I think in there you got a demijohn, 6 bottles and a wine kit. Things have moved on massively since back then. Kits have improved, they've got cheaper, it's more readily available, more people do it, and to be quite honest, I've found that you don't have to be quite as meticulous as you used to be back then. Back then, if you didn't sterilise your stuff with proper sterilisers and all sorts of nasty chemicals, you just couldn't do it. The wine would go off before it were even ready. Nowadays, I just wash mine out in cold water, rinse it out a few times, and Bob's your uncle, so to speak. Might be your brother. English people will know what I mean by that. So right, let's talk about winemaking first. Now what I will say, I'll give myself a bit of a disclaimer here. I don't know what the rules are for where you live for what I'm going to talk about. I know certainly in the UK, what I'm going to talk about is quite legal, other than the distilling part of doing spirits, but we can get around that. Wine making's perfectly legal, beer making's perfectly legal, and spirits up to a certain point is perfectly legal. You can buy the kits online, walk into a shop. We've got a brilliant shop just down the road from us where you can buy all the kits. So, but if you are going to do it, just check out, if you're living in America or Canada or something like that, just check out what your local state laws are, because I don't want you coming back to me and saying, well, Carl said it were all right. Living on a boat, if you're in international waters, I don't suppose anybody's going to be bothered what you do. I mean, look at SV Delos, they doing it all the time. So, oh, I can hear my wife coming. So I'll just read a quick few of these AA alcohol members, yeah, AA members. There would probably be a few on here tonight. Or if you're not an AA member now, if you take heed of what I'm going to say tonight, you might become one. Sailing North Pirate, all grain brewing for 8 years. I don't do all grain, Marv. I just do it from kits for speed and comfort, and makes it really easy. Chris Rushin, just assume it's all illegal. No, I don't. Might be in Texas, I don't know. Is that my wife? Oh, here she is. She's even joining us with a glass.
Hello, everybody.
So
here's one I made earlier.
Here's one I made earlier. This is a white Zinfandel rosé. That was actually Claudia's the North Sea on Sunday, and on Monday we started drinking it.
Yep. So it's just nice.
And it is quite a potent one. Now that's about 14%.
And that's mine. That's me. Right, I'm just going to watch the Bake Off. Enjoy, everybody. This is one thing that you won't be sorry that you've learned. We're not sorry.
No.
Well, I'm not sorry, are we? No. Anyway, cheers.
See ya.
Bye.
Right, okay, so let's get down to it. So winemaking first of all then. You need a few pieces of kit. First off is a 5-gallon plastic bucket. Food grade is obviously the best, and you can pick these up. I think I got some online for around about £4 or £5 each. So I don't know, $8 is it? $7 or $8. So you want a 5-gallon. Well, you don't need a 5-gallon. You can actually do it in a 1-gallon demijohn jar. But if you're going to make it, you might as well make a lot. So we do it in 5-gallon batches. Because by the time you've messed about making a 1-gallon batch, you've drunk it before it's ready. So, well, not before it's ready, but you know what I mean. So this is everything I'm going to talk about is for 5 gallons. So get yourself a 5-gallon plastic food grade bucket with a sealed fitting lid. On top of the lid you want a little hole so you can stick an airlock in. An airlock you can pick up from your local brewing shop, or Wilco's even sell them, and they're a couple of quid. Next thing you need is a winemaking kit. The ones we use are these ones. This is made by Young's. It's the Wine Buddy, and again this is the Zinfandel. This is going to be the rosé which we're just drinking now. And this will make you 30 bottles or just under 5 gallons. That costs, I buy these off eBay and they're £21. So that's £21 for 30 bottles. So it's £100 a bottle. So what you get in the bottle, in the kit, is your grape juice. And then you get a few chemicals. Now the thing with all these quick brew kits, they are using chemicals. Is anybody getting a bit of a delay here because my screen's freezing up? Just before I go any further. Is it just my end where I'm getting a delay? Well, I'll keep talking anyway and I'm sure you'll tell me if there's a delay. Don't know why that is. So anyway, you get your chemicals, and in here you've got, what we got? You've got your colouring or your flavouring, that's what makes it red. You've got your yeast, and then you've got various packets of stabilisers. So basically, to make 5 gallons of this red wine, what we do, we boil a couple of kettlefuls of water up, put that into the plastic bucket. We then add the colouring, the grape juice, pour that in, and then we basically just fill it up. Oh, hang on, what we're getting here? We're getting a red line. YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain. You might be getting buffering. Just bear with me, guys. We've been getting a lot of problems with our internet just lately. Just hang fire, let me just change the refresh rate on the... There we go, I think that should be better. Chris Rushin said it was getting worse. Is it any better now? And somebody comment just so I know that. They must know you're leaving. Yeah, I've got green lights again to say we're okay. So yeah, what we do, we put the some hot water in, around about 40-50 degrees. I missed a crucial part out. We then, with these kits, I think, I just have to double check, but it's 2 kilos of sugar, just normal granulated sugar. Oh, that's a different instruction thing. Sorry, 4 kilograms of white sugar, or you can use glucose. If you use brewer's glucose, you don't need quite as much. But I just use normal sugar. It's £1 a bag down at the Morrison's. Put the sugar in and dissolve it. Give it a good stir, and then we add the grape juice, and then we top it up to 21 litres. Basic, it's just under 5 gallons. Just using normal cold water, straight out the tap, put it in there. That should then average out, if you've used hot enough water to start with, to round about between 25 and 30 degrees C, which is ideally what you want. You don't want it any hotter than that. If it's warmer than that, you need to let it cool down. Once it's round about 25, maybe 25 to 28, take the lid off, open this up. That's your yeast. Sprinkle it in, give it a really good stir. You put the lid on it, stick the airlock in. That's it. Leave it 7 days. In 7 days, have a look at it. You should see your airlock will have been bubbling during that time. After 7 days, give it a bit of a stir, and it'll get rid of any bubbles what's in there. It will have started to clear a little bit after that time, because it will be cloudy after you've stirred it up. Don't worry about that. And then basically what you do, you just follow the instructions and add these clearing agents in. So you put one in, you leave it for an hour. You put the second one in, you leave it for an hour. You put the third one in, leave it 24 hours. Following morning, drink it. It's better if you leave it a little bit longer. But basically what I do, rather than put it, you can siphon it then into bottles, or you put your colouring in as well. Hi Rob, yes we're well, thank you. I sent you an email, Rob, by the way, about the mug, what you wanted to order. Sorry guys. So yeah, rather than bottle it, what we basically do is just pour it in, siphon it into another 5-gallon drum. So we leave the sediment in the bottle of the first one. The second drum we've got has got a tap on it, and all we do is basically just pour it into decanters as and when we want to drink it. Or, as I've done for the last couple of days, I've just poured some into some bottles, and then we just pour it out of bottles into the glass. That's your wine. So for 21 quid and 4 bags of sugar, you've got 30 bottles of wine. So the stuff what you need to, your equipment, say bite ones, 5 quid for a fermenting bucket, an airlock's a couple of quid, a good stirring plastic paddle again from your own brew shop, rather than using a metal one. I think they're about 2 or 3 quid. And once you've got that, that's it. You can keep making your wine, just give it a good rinse out once it's done, and you're ready to do it. That wine kit we're using there started on a Monday. It says it's a 7-day kit. We're usually drinking it probably on the Wednesday, the week after. If you can leave it for a month or so, then yeah, it gets a lot better tasting, but you can't beat it. It's cheap. So Dave's asking, what's your cleaning process for your container before you start? As I said earlier, Dave, a few years ago with the kits, they used to be really temperamental, and you used to have to use your metabisulfate, I think it was called. You poured it in, mixed it with water, and it took your breath away if you breathed it in. Nowadays, I just get, as long as you give it a good wash once you've finished. So like once that barrel's empty, and you give it, I normally give it a wash with a little bit of washing up liquid in, warm water, give it a rinse around with a sponge and stuff, rinse it out and let it dry, and then the next time I come to use it, I just give it a good rinse in hot water, and then probably 3 or 4 rinses out with cold water, and that's it. I don't bother with all this bloody, oh, can't say that. YouTube have stopped me monetising because I swore on my last video. That's Paige's fault for asking how many sardines were in a load of sardines. So yeah, that's all I do now, Dave, is just rinse it out with cold water. And touch wood, another saying there, I've not had any problems. So that's the wine. It's basically as easy as that. Yeah, it's not your 20, 30 quid bottles of wine like you get in shops, but do you know what? We've not bought wine for, I can't remember the last bottle of wine. This one, my son actually bought us 3 bottles of this, I think round about my birthday time, and we just keep the bottles and just keep filling them up with the homebrew stuff. So yeah, living on a boat, making your own wine like that. I know people say, oh yeah, when you go to Greece and Spain or wherever, you can buy wine for €3 a bottle. Do you know what? £1 a bottle, and it's a little bit stronger. And it's also, you don't mind cooking with it either. You know, if you want to cook, you just stick it in a pan. So, Marv, wow, wine kits have come far from when I did it. 6 months to age, I always used fruits and grapes and did it from scratch. Yeah, I've done it in the past using natural ingredients, Marv, and I get fed up of waiting. You know, when it takes like a month to ferment it out, and then you got to strain all the pulp out, and then you got to bottle it, and then leave it for 6 months. In fact, I've got some in our cupboard in the kitchen, which I made when we lived at our last house, and we've lived at this house for 18 years, and it's like a liqueur, and I've still got it. And I opened a bottle of it a few months ago, and it does taste like nectar, but a bit sweet. But I can't wait that long. Buy it, make it, drink it. So, Marv, me too, that's why I went to beer. Right, so any questions on winemaking? I know I'm not going into this in massive, massive detail, but it's just to give you a bit of an idea of how cheap you can do it. Dave, there's a guy on YouTube that I watch who makes wine from little grape juice. Yeah, done that. If you go on to YouTube and actually search, what do they call it? Search for something like prison wine brew or something like that, and there's loads of them. Basically, as long as you're getting proper grape juice, not diluted stuff, you want grape juice, you can get it in like a litre bottle. You have to pour a little bit out, put some yeast into it, and it's got enough sugar in, and just leave it on the side. Put an airlock on over it, or what you can even do is put a non-flavoured condom on the top, put a little pinprick hole in it so you can't use it again, and stick that on, and that'll act as an airlock, and just leave that for a few weeks, and it will ferment, and then you can drink that off. I've done it, and I know somebody who does it quite regularly, but you do have to wait longer than these kits, and it doesn't taste as good. Do you have to pour some off like you do with moonshine? No, you don't, Gav. And I'll come on to that about the spirits as well. You don't have to do it with spirits unless you're doing it in a certain way. But we'll cover that one last off. But no, whatever you pour, the only wastage you get when you're making wine or beer is once it's fermented, you get about 1 inch in the bottom of your barrel of sediment, and you basically just, it's like cloudy stuff, and it just sinks to the bottom. So you just have to put a siphon thing in and siphon it off. Ketchup is banned from Canadian prison because of jail brew. Yeah, they'll use anything. I mean, there's some really good videos out there on how people do stuff. Sean, why do you need an airlock? Well, basically, you don't want air getting in. Once you've sealed it, that's all you need. If you don't have an airlock on it and you leave it open, you get little flies getting in, and they'll like infect it and make it go off. Vinegar flies, I think they're called. So yeah, you put your airlock on there just to stop any impurities in the air getting round. Does it taste better than a pound shop Aldi special? Oh yes, and it's a lot stronger. Yeah, Jean Mark's just said airlock prevents bugs also. We call them vinegar flies here. Because basically they get into your brew and then they make your wine turn to vinegar, so you bin in it. My mum used to make wine and she would throw the sediment to the chickens. They walk sideways. I bet they did. Right, okay, shall we move on to beer? If that's all your questions on wine. Right, so for making beer, again, I'm only going to talk about beer kits. You can make it from hops and natural ingredients and all sorts of things and go into it. And I'm a member of a few forums on Facebook and stuff, and there's some guys on there who are, they're obsessed with it. They're into refrigeration units outside and proper pumps, what they get from old pubs and stuff like that, and they really go for it. Me, I just want to make a nice pint, what you can have summer's evening, pour it out your pressure barrel, you got a really nice pint of beer, tastes different to what you get in a pub, tastes better, and again you can make what you want. So I've actually got a kit over here. It's not the one what I normally get. I thought I'd just have something for a change because I'm going to take this one on the boat and make it when we get on the boat. But first of all, gear for equipment, should I say, for beer making. More or less exactly the same. 5-gallon plastic bucket, airlock on it. Some people will just put a damp towel over beer. I use the plastic lid and stick an airlock into it. That's basically all you need to get started, or to get your brew on anyway. So again, this is another one from Young's. This is, can you see it? Hang on, we've got it right way around. This one's actually a Pilsner Lager. This makes 40 pints. If you take the white lid off, there's a little sachet of yeast in there, but basically that's just a tin. Open it up with a tin opener after you've soaked it for about 10 minutes in hot water, and in there's all the goodness. It's like treacle when you open it. You basically pour that into your plastic bucket, your fermenting bin as we'll call it. Add the water up to 40 pints, add your sugar, dissolve it, give it a good stir, put the yeast in, and again, this is a 7-day kit. 7 days later, this is how easy this beer stuff is now. 7 days later, you just siphon it off, and on this one I put this into a pressure barrel. So it's, well, you know what a pressure barrel is, it's a plastic barrel, what can take a lot of pressure. What you need to do is just add I think it's 1 ounce of just normal sugar, stick it in the pressure barrel, and you get a little bit of what they call a secondary fermentation. So basically it creates a gas inside the pressure barrel, so that when you open it up it comes out under pressure, hence it being a pressure barrel, and you get a nice head on the top of your beer. What I do, say it takes 7 days to ferment, I put it in the pressure barrel and I leave it probably for about 7 to 9 days in the pressure barrel, and then you get a nice clear headed beer. If you need to put more air into it, because you're not getting, because it's like a vacuum eventually, once the beer stops producing the bubbles or the gas to give you the pressure, what you've got is a little gas cylinder on the top, and you just give it a turn, inject a little bit of gas, and then it allows it to come out under pressure, so you can still get your head. The other option you've got, instead of putting it into a pressure barrel, because a pressure barrel does cost around about 60 quid. I've got 3 at the moment, because when I do it, or when I've been doing it in the past, I've tended to use quite a bit, do 3 batches at once. If you don't want a pressure barrel and you want to put it into bottles, I just collected bottles when I used to buy Hobgoblin and stuff like that, and that's neighbours, don't throw your bottles away, let me have them. I have got, it's not tanned. You buy these little sugar pellets, you put 1 pellet into each one of the bottles, you fill the bottle up, put the crown caps on, and you get a little machine what puts the caps on. Just leave it for a couple of weeks, or a week or 2, and there you go, that's your beer. And that's how easy beer is. So, let me just catch up on what somebody said on here. Drilled holes in my cover to fit the airlock. Yeah, you can do that. Do you use carboys also? No, I don't. Do you chill it in the large barrel? No. We've got a back room which we don't put the heating on, so it always stays a little bit cool in there. So it's just there. If I want some chilled beer, I have got loads of bottles and stuff. So sometimes what I might do, if I know, say we're going to have a barbecue and sit outside, I might pour off 3 or 4 bottles and stick them in the fridge. But to be honest, I just take it out the main pressure barrel more than anything. Have you thought about space considerations on your new boat for all this gear? Yes. So I won't be taking 3 pressure barrels. I'll probably just take 1. The buckets stack inside each other, so all the gear for that will all be it'll just look like one bucket basically. I'll say, how carefully do you need to be with the temperature? They recommend, Al, that you keep it anywhere between 20 to 28 degrees C, and it's going to be alright. If it gets a little bit warmer, it will ferment quicker. If it gets below 20, then it's going to take quite a while to ferment. The only thing you've really got to be careful of is when you add your yeast, because if the mix is too hot when you put your yeast in, you can just kill the yeast off, so it'll never get started. So that's really about it. Ian, hey Carl, great to meet you. Been watching you both, not stalking. Have you ever tried brewing from scratch? That is making mash then fermented. Yeah, I've done it some time ago, Ian. I did mention it earlier, but I can't be. I like making it mainly for the cost and the convenience of always having something in the house when we want it. My nose is itching a lot tonight. That's body language for saying I'm lying, isn't it? But no, I'm not. We just like to get it. This one I've got here, this lager, I've not made this one up for quite a while. The one I've been using from the same company, the one I normally get is called Scottish Heavy. So it's like a real ale, and it's quite a heavy one. And I think that comes out at around about 5.5% when you brew it up. I do like dark beers if I go to a pub, and I have made like stouts and milds, but I do like the Scottish Heavy, but I just got a little bit fed up of it, so I thought I'd try that Pilsner one for a bit. Blankets work for carbo. I wonder if it works for buckets and boats. It probably would do. Yeah, I have got, I think it's in the garage, I did have some, like a rubber belt what you could plug in to the mains, and it used to keep it at a set temperature. And I've also got, from when I first started doing wine in the little bottles, like a little aluminium plate which was heated. So there's lots of ways you can do it. But we've found that just in the house, certainly throughout the summer, it's warm enough. 70 degrees Fahrenheit for yeast. Yeah, I think that's round about 30 degrees in English, degrees C. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. 70F is going to be hard to reach in the tropics. I ain't going to be in the tropics for a bit, so that won't be a problem for now. Thing is, we make it all up before we get down there. So let's have a look. I had Hobgoblin in Canada. Hobgoblin is one of my favourite drinks. In fact, Jen's just bought me this week. Hobgoblin is made by the Witchwood Brewery, and this time of year, every year, they bring out all different flavours. And she got me a ruby rose one the other day. That was nice. It was a toffee and chocolate flavour. Not as bad as it sounds. So that's wine we've done, and that's beer. I say you can go to town and get into beer doing it from hops and buying hundreds of pounds worth of gear. But you can do it on cheap as well. This is probably sacrilege to mention, but what about all the calories in this beer? Or is that not an issue? Dave, you don't get to look like this thinking about calories, do you? Depends how much you want to drink. Mowley, does stability play into the making of beer on a boat, rocking of the boat? I would think it will do at the fermentation stage. I've not made it on the boat yet, Mowley. One of the things we've been doing the 7-day stuff for is that our thoughts are, if we sit in a marina for 7 days, just a little bit of movement's not going to be too bad. I suppose I could always put it on the gimbaled stove and just sit it there. I don't know. We're going to try it. All this beer talk, I better get me a beer. Well, actually, I've got a rum, an homemade rum here in my pirate jug, so I shall have one with you, Marv. Cheers. Yes, Chris, that could be a good idea, to design some type of suspension cradle just for sailors. Anyway, shall we talk about real stuff? What everybody's probably tuned into for, moonshine. Do you add the yeast to a bit of sugary water to help it start, or do you add it straight to the mash? For the way I do it, the kits I use, you just put it straight in there. No need to... I've not done that bit where you get your yeast started for years. Oh, I forgot about that. You used to put it into a little egg cup or something, didn't you, with a piece of cotton wool in the top. Yeah, I can remember doing that. Right, all you need is a boiler and fermenting barrel, that's it. Right, well, I've got something what's better than that for you, Ian. So it's coming up now. So, let me... just bear with me 1 second here. So, right, spirits. Again, this all depends on which part of the world you live in. Certainly in the UK, there's nothing to stop you making wine. There's nothing to stop you making beer. There's nothing to stop you making the wash or spirits, in fact, as long as there's no distillation process. That's where it becomes technically illegal. Now, you can go into any homebrew shop in the UK and they will all sell you stills, air stills, big copper pipe stills, super stills, whatever you want to call them. It's not illegal to own them. It's not illegal to sell them. It only becomes technically illegal if you actually use it to distill alcohol. So yeah, Chris, stills are illegal in Texas. I don't know if it's illegal to possess one there or what, but anyway. So, how do we get round it? We'll become outlaws. You're that drunk by the end of it, you're not bothered, are you? I've looked into this quite a lot, and you can actually... who is it who sends the licence? You can buy a licence from the Customs and Excise, so that you can legally produce alcohol, spirits. However, they won't sell one to the hobbyist. You've got to be making something like 49,000 litres, and I can't remember the exact figures, but it's something like 49,000 litres a year before they will consider that you need to purchase a licence. So for people such as us who want to make a couple of bottles of rum or a couple of bottles of whiskey or something like that, you're never going to get that licence. It costs a lot of money to get the licence, so I know the local wine shop put videos online showing you exactly how to do it from start to finish. He lives down the road here and he's been advertising it for years, and from what I've seen, they're not interested. You're not selling it. I think if you started selling it and making it dodgy and stuff like that, they might chase after you, but I'm only talking from what my opinion is here, by the way. I think if you're just making it to sit in a room with your wife and have a few drinks on a Saturday night or whatever, nobody's bothered. International waters, I don't know. I don't know what the legality is. You risk it, don't you, and you try it. If you're going to do it in Dubai and you get caught making alcohol, you're probably going to go to prison. I don't know. So from here on, it's all under your own risk. So to make spirits, what do we need? First of all, we need what we've been talking about before, I've actually got a picture here with everything. So this is your 5-gallon bucket on the, well, it's the left as I'm looking at it, so I think it'll be the left as you're looking at it. You got your 5-gallon bucket there with the air filter airlock on the top, and then next to it we've got like what looks like a kettle, which I'll come on to in a second. You've got your paddle, there's some chemicals down there, a little tap for the barrel, and some other bits and bobs. For now we'll just talk about the startup parts you need. So you need the barrel. So what you basically do, you get the barrel, and again you fill it. I normally put about 5 to 10 litres of water, no, not 10 litres, 5 litres of water in there, hot water from the tap, and our tap puts it out at about 40 degrees. I then have to dissolve, and I'm just looking at my notes here, 6 kilograms of sugar. So yes, it's a lot of sugar. Once all that sugar's in there, and I give it a good stir, probably for 4 or 5 minutes, 3-5 minutes, something like that, until it stirs up. If it's a bit warmer, it'll dissolve a little bit quicker, but you want to make sure that's really well dissolved. So you're going to end up with it something like that in the bottom of your bucket. It's going to be milky colour. You then top that up again to 21 litres, 23 litres, which is round about 5 gallons. Once you've got that in there and you've got all your water in, give it a really good stir. And again, we're looking for a temperature now of about 25 to 26 degrees. I've got a message just coming from Chris Rushin, which has been held for review, but I'll just leave it holding for review, Chris, because I don't want getting banned by YouTube again, but that's quite funny. So we've now filled it up to 23 litres, 21 litres we'll call it. What we add to it then, let me find the little picture I've got for you, is this. Now I buy this from my homebrew shop. It's called Still Spirits Turbo Yeast, and you buy that as a pack. It comes in a cellophane packet. You've got the packet of yeast, you have a packet of liquid charcoal, and then you have a clearing agent with it as well. I can't remember what that stabiliser they might call it. So basically what you do, rip it open, you pour the yeast, let me get rid of that picture now. You pour the yeast into your bucket, and give it a good stir, 10-15 second stir, and then you get the liquid charcoal, what's included in the pack. Now the liquid charcoal you've got to be really careful with. Cut the top off with scissors and be careful, because if it gets on your clothes it really does stain. Pour that into your bucket, and again give it a stir, and your water, your wash, will go black. It's not treacly black, but it will go black because it's liquid charcoal. Charcoal's black. All you do then, put your lid on, put your airlock in, 7 days. That's it. In 7 days, you take the lid off and you look at it, and you'll have like a more or less an opaque but greyish coloured liquid, and at the bottom you'll have probably 1 inch of dark black where the charcoal's gone down. So this is now fermented. What you need to do is get your big spoon, your big stirring paddle, and give that a really good battering for about a minute and a half. And what that's going to, this is assuming that your fermentation stops, so you're not getting any more air bubbles through your airlock. And what this does, it gets all the air, the gas, what's still in the actual liquid, and it brings it up to the top. Leave it, put the lid back on, leave it for a couple of hours, go back to it again, give it another stir. And I normally do this probably anywhere between 3 and 5 times in that last day. And what we're doing is degassing it, so it gets rid of all the gas in there. Once that's done, you then get a second fermentation bucket, or a plastic bucket, whatever you want. Make sure you give it a good clean. And you siphon the liquid out of the first one into the second one, so you leave the residue in the bottom. And I've actually missed one little bit out, I think. Just before you degas it, you've got to put a stabilising solution in, and then that will clear it. But then you do degas it. So once you're degassing it, it'll go thick and cloudy again, but then 24 hours later it's cleared. So once you've took that solution, this is now called a wash, take that off, put it into your second barrel, second bucket, chuck the remnants away, the bit in the bottom, give it a good stir out, clean it, put that away. So now you've got a bucket with approximately 5 litres of a liquid in there, which we'll call the wash, and that will come out at somewhere between 14 and 20% alcohol. I've got a question here. When you stir the liquid, does it not lift the charcoal? Yes, it does, but because you've put that agent in, the cleansing agent, what you get with it, 24 hours it's gone back to clear, and it is gin clear, really is clear. So we're now at the stage where we've got a bucket with liquid in, a wash, which is anywhere between 14 and 20% alcohol. Now for UK law, and possibly other places in the world, I don't know, that is as far as you can go with the fermentation process legally. Still Spirits, who sell the turbo yeast, sell all these different flavoured. We've got a cherry bourbon, spice rum, that tastes just like what's his name, Captain Morgan's. We've got vodka. These are just a few. That tastes like Gordon's gin. So you can add those, and if you look on the thing, we've got a little measuring thing, and each one of those is for 750 mils of alcohol you add it to. So yes, Chris, this is hypothetical. So you can put that in there and you're going to have a 20% spirit, tastes very similar to what you're buying a shop, but it's 14 to 20%. If you want to be naughty, there's another process. So what you then need is one of these, and this is the simple way to do it from what I've heard. This is what they call a still spirit air still. Now you can find these on eBay, you can buy them from the homebrew shops. They're about 100 and, well, I've seen them advertised between 160 to 180 pounds, and it's basically, it's like a kettle, but what it does, it's got a fan in the top. So where people think of a still with all the copper pipes and you've got to have running cold water in and stuff and boil it up on a stove, with this you basically put 4 litres of your wash into that silver part of the container. There's a little mark in there what says 4 litres. You plug it in and you draw off 800 mils of the alcohol, and when it comes out it's 60% alcohol, thereabouts. Now you can't drink that, it's well, some people might. One thing I would say is they're 183 quid, something like that, 175 I'm Marv's saying in the States. If you go on to eBay and search for water distiller, I think they sell them as dentist accessories, it's exactly the same, other than the top bit, where is it, where that's black, it's fully white, and it's sold as a water distiller, and you can buy them for between 40 and 80 pounds, depending which site you get them from. They're exactly the same. So 180 quid for one of them, or up to 60 quid for one what's sold as a water distiller. You pays your money, you takes your chance. I know which I would do. So anyway, when you've got it, the other thing you have to do buy is some little porcelain chips, and you drop them in and it stops it big bubbles developing. So basically, you've got your wash, You pour 4 litres of it into that machine, you switch it on. Now I've watched SV Delos and they've got one of those and theirs takes them about an hour and a half. I've distilled some water in one we bought for dentistry equipment and mine takes about 30 minutes, 35 minutes. It comes out and you just take off 800 millilitres of what comes out in the hole, the nozzle. That 800 ml, like I've just said, is 60% alcohol. What you then do is add 400 mils of cold water, so you're making it up to 1200 ml, and that will dilute it down to 40% alcohol. Now that 40% is quite important because there is another stage you have to go through. So basically what you do, you put your 4 litres in, take 800 ml out of it, put that into a 5-gallon 10 litre bucket, something like that, and go through the whole wash until you've used it. The bit what's left in the bottom after you've took out 800 ml, just bin it. Or some people actually use it for cleaner. It's like terps. Don't drink it. If you're using the big stills, the ones with a copper pipe and stuff, you will hear people, I've just seen on here Chris Rushin saying, is it methanol, the stuff that'll hurt you? The turbo yeast and the air stills are designed that you don't have to take anything off beforehand or afterwards. I can't remember what they call it now. What do they call it? Whatever. There's a particular word for it. And yeah, they do take about 50 ml to 100 ml, throw that away, then they take some off and then they throw the rest away. Turbo yeast product, and if you go on to the brewing shops who do, you'll find him on YouTube. He will actually tell you that you don't need to do that with this because there's no methanol produced. So that's quite good. Heads and tails, that's what it's called. So yeah, do that through your 5-gallon, and you're left, after you've made it up to 1200 ml, you're left with around about 7 litres. So you've gone from 5 gallons, 23 litres, down to 7 litres. But that 7 litres is now 40% alcohol. There's one more little procedure you've got to go through, and that is to put it through a charcoal filter. And it's basically a little tube with some activated charcoal, so you have to soak it in warm water, and whether that activates it or what, I don't know. It's got a tube on, put it into the bottom of your bucket, what's got a tap on, which then goes into a second bucket, let it run through, and that can take an hour or two for it to drip through. But what that basically does is takes out any impurities in that alcohol, what might be nasty tasting or anything like that. Once you've done that and you've got your final bit, that's it. You've got your 40% alcohol, it's ready to drink. At that point you have got moonshine. It's not moonshine because it's not made from potatoes, but that is just a neat alcohol. There's no taste to it from what I'm told. So what you do then, 2.2 litres out of it, or 2 litres out of it, put it into a measuring jug, get your bottle of spice rum, and for 2 litres, stick all that in, give it a good stir, and I pour it into a Captain Morgan's bottle. If you leave it a couple of days just for it to get together, you can drink it straight away, but the longer you leave it, the better it tastes. So that's as easy as it is. These bottles, I think, are around about £3.75, £3.80 for a bottle, and that will make 2.2 litres. If you prefer a port, what you can do, and you can do this straight out of the bottle, go down to your brewing shop, buy one of these, and you have to buy another pack with it, and it looks like sugar. And you buy a bottle of wine, pour your wine in, you add your 40% wash, bottle of this, stir it up with the, it's called a base. Stir it up with the base, which is like sugar, but it's not sugar, and then it gives it that, you know, the syrupy look what you get with port. So like if you tip it on the glass, it like sort of holds onto it, then you add that to it. But that's basically how easy it is to make your stuff. Any questions? Prices? Anything? I've not covered it that well, surely, that nobody's got any questions to ask. But it does taste nice. Allegedly. Are we still online? It's gone a little bit quiet. Everybody's probably canned up now with drinking. Thanks for the still info. Saved me $105. Yeah. What's the water distillery called again? Just go onto eBay and just search for water distiller and just look for one like this picture. Let me stick it your back up. It'll look like that, but it's just got a white top on it rather than the black part, and it won't have any reference to being a still. They'll say it's for dentist cleaning dentist equipment or something, I think they say. Now he's like, yeah, you'd never do this yourself. Now he's like, yeah, you'd never do this yourself, and check your local. Yeah, I said that before, Chris. I don't condone any of this. It's only what I've researched online. Did you see that? I'm just going back up a bit. Gav has asked, did you see the Delos comparison with the Still and the Turbo 500? Yes, and to be quite honest, Gav, I've watched it probably 4 or 5 times, and they're not using the still right. Not the air still. I don't think so. They're chucking stuff away when they don't need to, and I don't think, because they've done a couple of videos on it as well, and they were doing some things where even the manufacturers of the turbo yeast don't say to do it how they've been doing it on Delos. Yeah, the Turbo 500, no doubts about it, totally better system, but I think you're talking about £600 for that. Takes up a massive space, and it's one of the types of stills where you've got a risk that it could blow up. Do you want that, or do you just want a kettle you can plug in and you've got a legitimate reason for using it? I mean, our batteries use distilled water, do yours? And we like to clean as toothbrushes. So yeah, that Turbo 500 is a good piece of kit, but I won't have one from a boat. Pressure barrels, where do you get them from? Well, Marie, I will have 2 for sale very shortly, but I can't ship them over to where you are. We just get them from our local homebrew shop. We've got homebrew shops. I've got one literally 600 yards from my house, and it's the guy who makes all the still spirit stuff. He's the main dealer in the country for it. So I just get all my stuff from down there. But I would assume any homebrew shop will sell them. If you can't get a pressure barrel, just put, because you're only going to use your pressure barrel for beer or ciders or something like that. I've actually just got a cider one on from a kit, but I didn't think it was very good. If you can't find a pressure barrel, just get normal beer bottles and you buy the little sugar tablets, what you drop in, or you can just measure sugar. It's like a teaspoon of sugar, but these little tablets, you don't get sticky. Just drop them in, put the lid on, put them away for a couple of weeks until that's, just give it a bit of a secondary fermentation, and you can do it that way. But you're going to need a lot of bottles. I've got a cupboard back there which I call my little brewery, and in there there's 3 pressure barrels, a lot of bottles, and all my buckets and stuff like that where I do it. So, but eBay's your best bet, and I think they might even sell some stuff on Amazon. I don't know if they do the air stills on Amazon, to be honest. Maria, are you in DFO? We'll just look brewing supply companies. I think one of the main things with it is getting decent kits. I mean, this wine kit we get, this wine buddy, that is 21. I think it's $21.95 on eBay, and we've had dozens of these over the last couple of years. And this one says it makes a wine equivalent to a commercial wine of 11%. The 21 quid. I can go down to a wine shop and they've got some wine kits in there what are £70. But when you make that, you get in a wine where if you were buying a bottle of wine in a shop, like in the UK, £12 an expensive bottle of wine in a supermarket, but you're getting that sort of quality of wine. My view, when you're making your own stuff, is that if I pay £75 for a wine kit and I've not sterilised it properly and it does get infected, it's a lot of money to lose. Whereas 20 quid, you know, if it goes off, it goes off. It's 20 quid. So that's about it really for the homebrew. I think I've shown you. Oh, I'll just show you this. This is some of the flavours you can get. I don't know how good this is going to come up on your screen. In our shop, there's probably 200 different flavours, but basically any flavour or any brand of spirit that you like, they'll do a flavour for it. They won't call it the same. Where's that one I had earlier? The cherry bourbon, that is a Jim Beam substitute copy. The spice rum, that's the Caribbean Captain Morgan's. Vodka, that's a bit like a Smirnoff vodka. And the gin, as I said, it's like a London's gin. That we've also got navy rum. We've got all sorts, and there's some really nice ones. There's one what we did, and that was, it was like a whiskey, but with a fire cherry bourbon, and like you taste it and it's like, whoa! I think American people would like that because it's a bit cinnamony. So Mowley's just saying here, I'm going to authorise that one, Mowley. They're a bit expensive. Oh yeah, them Amazon ones are expensive, Dave. I say you'll pick them up for between 40 and 60, 70 quid on eBay, and maybe even including postage. I don't want to come out of this screen what I'm on to go and have a look, to be honest, because it might lose my connection. But no, it's all good. But you've got to be careful. Don't poison yourselves. Don't go blind. But you can certainly save yourself some money. I mean, when you're looking at the spirits, if you can get it for £2 a litre, and even in cheap shops, you know, the nasty stuff what you buy is, what is it, 10 quid a litre. So, hi Craig from Australia. Think I need to bring Marie down under being a beer girl. So, yeah, it's all good. Anyway, moving on to just a slightly different subject. I don't know if people have noticed, if you go onto our website, but I've just been updating it this week, and I've put an email pop-up thing on. So if you go onto the website and you're on there for a few seconds, if you've not registered before to our email, it'll come up with a pop-up. Now, it doesn't do it on a mobile device. On a mobile device, you've got to go onto the what's the page? There's a web page. There's a page on our website. It's the very last one, what gives all the links to our Instagram and Facebook and stuff. Right at the bottom, there's a form on there you can fill in to subscribe to our email newsletter. What we're going to be starting to do, and the first newsletter we're going to be doing is actually about what we've talked about tonight. So it'll give you lists of equipment and how to do it. Only a brief thing. I'm not going into war and peace about it. Wow, thanks Mowley. That's much appreciated. You're my first, what do they call it? What's it called? I can't remember. Oh, bloody hell. Oh, that's it. I've got banned from thing. Super Chat Man. Yeah. Thanks, Mowley. Much appreciated. That will go to a new kit, which we will take on the boat with us. And when we get that brewed up, I'm gonna call it the Mowley Brew, the Mowley Special. Super Chat. Yeah, that's it. So yeah, we're going to do this email thing, and if you sign up on the email, it goes through to MailChimp and stuff like that, so it's secure. We promise not to send you any spam or anything like that. We won't send it to any third parties. It's just so that we can send you out little bits of anecdotes and bits of information like this, what you might find useful. So, be nice if you could subscribe to the email. So, anyway, right, what shall we talk about now? We've done an hour on homebrew. Has anybody got any more questions about any homebrew stuff? Anybody? Rob Jones, I still can't super chat. I'll Google it. I'm sure you can, Rob, but I've never done it. Or have I done it on my... I can't remember if I did it on my iPad to Grandpa one night, or whether I did it on the computer. But no worries. So, Rob, don't forget to send me... I sent you an email about the whatnots. The drinkies. Cups. Mugs. So what does it cost to make 750ml approximately? Well, it's round about £2 a litre, Al. So, just a bit less than £2. Ah, Steve. Can't super chat from iPad unless you do it direct through Safari. That's probably how I did it then. So yeah, you have to come out the you have to come out of the YouTube app, go into Safari or Chrome or whatever you use, and then go back into YouTube. Don't know why they do that. So yeah, Matt, you're saying you might have to see about getting it shipped out to you. I'm sure you'll be able to. You just need an address. My wife's sneaking about making a drink. Really enjoyed it. Thanks. In the 1970s, it made me reminisce. Everyone always with boots and demijohns bubbling away. At our first house, I think it was before we got the kids, and we used to go stupid on homebrew, and the whole windowsill, because we'd do it in the majority of the kits then were the 1 gallon kits. So anybody who wants to try this for the first time, do it on a 1 gallon kit. In fact, I'm just digressing slightly. You know the plastic water bottles you buy? Most places abroad, the little square water bottles, I think they're about a gallon. You can do a gallon wine kit in one of those. I've done it in one of those before. Like I said, use a condom or a balloon on the top for an airlock. Just put a pinprick hole in it. Don't use a condom again. But yeah, you can do it on them. But yeah, our first house, the whole windowsill were lined up with demijohns, and then we had some kitchen units, and I got all these wine racks, and it were full. We must have had about 400 bottles of wine. I used to make dandelion wine, strawberry wine, and all stuff like that. And was it on St. Patrick's Day, I think you used to have to go out and pull dandelions up, and that were the best time to harvest them, or Valentine's Day or whenever it were. So, lots of homebrew in Greece. Raki is basically moonshine, I think. Should be easy in Crete. Well, I've been looking, Steve, for one of these. I actually like... I've done some ouzo. That's quite good. In fact, that's bloody good. But we did some... we didn't do it. I was looking for one of these kits. You can get the ouzo one. What's the other one? Jen? She's not here. What's the other? Sipperoo. We like Sipperoo. We got introduced to Sipperoo in Athens last year. But I can't get a flavour for that, which is a shame. What percentage does the beer come out at? This one, I think, comes out at about 4.5. That Scottish heavy one I've done is round about 5. You can get some kits, some of the more expensive ones, what will come out, and you can get some good ones. I mean, even some up to like 8%. And you can also, yeah, see you, Matt. I'll send you that email. You can get some different yeasts, which will increase the percentage of it. And there's different brewing. Somebody who's into the proper brewing, like using natural ingredients, might be able to explain that better. I just use the kits, it's easy. You need mastic for ouzo. can add to other kits. I have a neighbour who makes it. Might have to talk to you about that then, Steve. Although I can make it here, so yeah, I do make Ouzo. Yeah, there's the monetisation on again. Yeah, I've never had that before, and I mean they're all set to monetise anyway. Not that we get any money off it, because I think it's a joke really what YouTube want to pay you. And I had a message come up yesterday after the live chat saying, sorry, but the advertisers don't find this feed suitable. So I think we might have said the sh word a couple of times, and blah, that's it. How does Ruby Rose get on? He's effing and jeffing all the time, unless they don't monetise, I don't know. So 9% with the porters and stouts I made. Yeah, you can get some good ones. Paddy, I just bought a wine kit online. Which one did you get, Paddy? And where did you get it from? Is it one off eBay? Regular CDM beer, 5%. Most US like making love in a canoe. Close to water. What percentage do they take from you on Super Chat? Do you know what, Steve? I don't know, because that is the first time that anybody's donated to us on Super Chat. So thank you very much. I know I have heard other people saying, "Oh, don't do it on Super Chat. Just send me PayPal." But I'm not. It's up to people if they want to give a little bit. It's very much appreciated. Marie, they sell a tool that floats at certain heights depending on the percentage. It's called a hydrometer. Hydrometer. There's different hydrometers, Chris. You've got one for wine and beers and one for spirits. One tip, if you're using it for the spirits and you're putting these in, you've got to do it before you actually put the flavourings in, because it makes a big difference. It doesn't reduce the percentage of the alcohol, but I think it's something to do with what's in the flavourings makes a difference on how it floats. So just do it on neat alcohol, not flavoured. Ruby don't monetise. Right, that'll be that then. Well, they won't be able to anyway with their expletives. So, Young's Cabernet Sauvignon. Paddy, that is a good one. That's the same ones as these. Is it the 5-gallon one, the £21 one you bought? The Cabernet Sauvignon is really, really nice. We've just finished one of them off. Jen likes this rosé one, so I've just bought 2 kits of this. And I say, I've just bottled one up and one's ready to go with us. Because we spoke to the solicitor yesterday and they said that it could be within 2 weeks that we're signing contracts. But we'll wait and see. But if we are, we'll be off quicker than we thought. So that's all good stuff. Have we got any thumbs up tonight? By the way, I can't see it on here. So if you've enjoyed it, give us a thumbs up. Be really good. But yeah, what else can we talk about? I've got some more notes here. I found them in the water. Yeah, we've covered all that. I was trying to see if I could set up an affiliation with the local home brew shop, so I could put loads of links and stuff on for stuff, but no, they're not interested. But anyway, there's some good kits out there. On the newsletter, I will put some links to the stuff where I order it from and things like that. So it's worth signing up if you've not already done it. If you do have a problem, I know Dave, who's in Air, DVS error, David, he had a problem today. I don't know if he was doing it on his computer or his iPad or his phone, but he signed up I think a couple of times, and I think between me and you it was an operator error, because while I was talking to him I was getting like 4 or 5 people who were pinging up saying that they subscribed, but Dave had a problem. So what I've actually done, and I've done it for somebody else who had a problem the other day, is if you want to subscribe and you can't do it, you should get a a receipt email within a few seconds of doing it. If you don't get that, just drop us a PM, give me your email address, and I can add you manually. So, okay, Craig, nice for you to be here. Thanks for coming. Have a good day at work. Or a good night. I'm not sure what time you're on over there. So, Al, you're welcome, mate. It's nice to talk about something a little bit different to sailing, just just for a change, isn't it? Dave's just special. Anyway, what do you think, folks, to this? My little pirate cup, my chalice, steel inside, stainless steel. Oops, what's this going on here? Oops, somebody's just subscribed. Who's that? Cheers. That's me Jamaican rum in that one, I think. I've not even started on this wine yet, what I brought in to show you. Paddy Keane. Nice one, Paddy. He obviously wants some more information about homebrew. We're all a bunch of alkies, aren't we, really, sailing people? So, okay, Gav, see you later, mate. Thanks for coming. I want to see on that on the boat. It's coming on the boat, don't worry, yeah, peel the sticker off the bottom. I'm not going to fall for that one and tip it up, but I did actually peel it off, it's just the remnants of it. So, this is off eBay. Naughty Pirate. And they've got different ones. They're quite heavy, but it's like a pressed plastic resin, what it's made out of. A couple of little rubies on the bottom. And little pirate. Always be yourself, unless you can be a pirate. Then always be a pirate. How's the drone practice going? I've not flown it this week, Blue Cotton. But I can't remember. I think last time I flew it. Oh yeah, I flew it last week because I was getting some problems with the iPhone. Kept losing the signal for the video feed, and I don't know if it's the little plug what they give you on the Mavic. So I've got one of these Huddles Android crappy things, and the only reason I bought it was because it's got built-in GPS. So I've got an iPad with Navionics on, I've got my iPhone with Navionics on, and I bought one of these little Android Huddles because it's got the built-in GPS, and I've stuck Navionics on that just as another backup for when we're on the boat. But I can use it on the drone. So I've bought one of them extension mount things, and to be quite honest, I really like it flying that because you've got a lot bigger screen. The problem is with it being the Huddle and it's old, the battery only lasts 10 minutes, so I think at some point we're going to have to get the iPad I've got is one of the old ones now, but I'm going to replace it I think with one of the mini iPads for drone flying. So lots to practice. Adding one to the wish list. I've cost you some money tonight, Marv, haven't I? I think they're not cheap. They're about £12 or £17. I've had it quite a while now, but I think they're still available. So it bounces if you drop it. I hope so. Needs to be 3 times bigger. That is the only issue with it. It is just a normal glass size. So, yeah. I have got a tankard. In fact, I like drinking. I've got a couple of drinking vessels. One is a tankard from when I retired, and the guys at work bought it me. And that does say that it's got the thing inscribed on it saying, always be yourself unless you can be a pirate, then always be a pirate. Because they know I like my pirate themes. So they bought me that one. I've got this, and I've actually got, and Matt from Living with the Tide likes this one as well, I've got a Viking Horn, which is a sealed drinking vessel. The only problem is you can't stand it up on a bar, you've got to keep hold of it all the time. But yeah, like my vessels. Okay, Chris, thanks for coming, mate. See you later. So anyway, I think we'll wrap it up at that for tonight. We've been on an hour and a quarter, and this was just a little bit of an extra to bring you into the darker side of sailing. So yeah, if you've not been and done that email thingy, go and do it, and hopefully we should be sending you some stuff. You can unsubscribe at any time you want. There's no issue with it. We just thought it'd be a little bit of fun for people to get a little bit more stuff from us. It's all free. We promise we're not going to bombard you with spam and emailing you every 10 minutes. And we're not going to pass it on to any third parties or anything like that. So it's just something that we thought we might be able to give you as a little bit of as a freebie, so that you can enjoy us on our channel a little bit more. So hopefully you'll enjoy it. So anyway, guys, that's it for tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in. John Mark, you've just joined the email. Thanks, girl. Save money but spent money. Yeah, but if you weigh it up to what you're going to save to what you're going to spend, long term, I've saved you a lot of money. Mike Elwood, first live chat I made it for. Cheers. Yeah. So thanks anyway, everybody. Give us a thumbs up if you've not already done, because that helps our channel grow and all that sort of stuff. And don't forget, we shall be here on Sunday. And we will be doing the later one again for everybody, because people preferred it that little bit later. So we'll see you then. Bye-bye.